Ijazah Sarjana Muda ambilan Mac sesi 2020-2021. Tahniah diucapkan kepada anda kerana telah berjaya menjadi sebahagian daripada keluarga UTHM. Bertemu kembali untuk sesi pembelajaran kendiri untuk Fakulti Teknologi Kejuruteraan. Saya Nur Akilah M. binti Kaharudin selaku moderator anda pada hari ini. Suka untuk diingatkan kepada para pelajar sekiranya mempunyai sebarang persoalan yang ingin diajukan, pelajar boleh tulis soalan tersebut di ruangan komen dan kita akan menjawab soalan tersebut pada akhir sesi slot kita pada hari ini. Untuk makluman pelajar semua juga, bagi SPK FTK ini akan membawa kepada perkongsian yang bertajuk Talk Thinking Like an Engineering Technologist, The Mindset Shift. Ini akan disampaikan oleh Profesor Madya Dr. Chan Chee Ming, Pensyarah Teknologi Kejuruteraan Awam di Fakulti Teknologi Kejuruteraan. Baiklah Prof, dipersilakan.
Terima kasih Akilah. Selamat petang, good evening all. Kalau boleh saya minta
pelajar-pelajar semua termasuklah our AJK kan, buka video sekejap. Marilah kita tengok muka kejap. Kalau tidak rasa saya cakap dengan langsir ke kerusi pun tak pasti. Boleh? Buka kejap. Mari kita tengok kejap muka. Right. Come on. Let's take a look. Okay, so adakah saya difahamkan intake kali ini adalah pelajar-pelajar ex-poly. Is it correct? Betul tak? Atau I silap maklumat? You guys ex-poly. Okay. Ada yang dari Polytechnic Port Dickson? Tak ada. Tak ada dari DKA Polytechnic Port Dickson. Okay, dari Poly mana ni? Syahmi Akil. Syahmi Akil dari mana?
PSMZA, Dungun Terengganu.
Dungun Terengganu. Okay, Muhammad Lokman dari mana?
Politek Kota Baru.
Kota Baru. Anyone else daripada Polymas ada? Tak ada. Okay, fine. Polymer, Poly Kota Melaka.
Daripada Seberang Perai.
Seberang Perai, nice. Okay, ada yang daripada apa nama tu, Polyku ke? Poly dekat apa nama tu? KK ke ada tak?
Poly Shah Alam.
Tak ada. Shah Alam, nice. Right. Nice. Yes. Okay, so welcome to FTK, JTKA, dan JTKE, JTKM, dan this is dari semua. How many apa program apa ya semua ni? Dari awam berapa ramai? No awam? Fine. Electric? No?
Saya.
Okay, Lokman nampak. But it's alright. I mean, you are going to have more friends in I think 1 or 2 weeks time. The second intake things. By the way, I am also from Polytechnic. I was from Polytechnic Port Dickson. So awam lah, obviously. So kita comrades, alumni ya. Okay, so without further ado, ini dah petang, ini start dah terakhir. Saya faham mungkin agak keletihan, jadi betul-betul santai lah ni ya. Tak payah nak kangkang mata ke apa, you tutup mata pun okey je. Asalkan you dengar dan cuba manfaatkan daripada apa yang nak kongsikan dengan you. It's not kuliah, seriously it's not kuliah. And by the way, let me just tell you, you came from Polytechnic, maksudnya you dah biasa dengan pembelajaran di institusi pengajian tinggi, okay? So Polytechnic pun dikira institusi pengajian tinggi kan. Jadi you dah tahu dah patternnya. Ada final exam ke hujung tu, in between tu ada test, ada assignment, ada project, ada quiz dan sebagainya. Kan? You dah faham. So carry on. You boleh masuk ke Menara Gading, masuk ke UTHM, FTK ni sudah pasti semua hebat-hebat, semua cemerlang. Kalau tak, dah keciciran, tak ada kelayakan untuk masuk ke universiti sebenarnya. Jadi first and foremost, patut memang sangat bersyukur. Sangat-sangat bersyukur. Right? So ingat, tengok kiri kanannya, ada kawan-kawan yang tak dapat masuk universiti. Am I right? So kita akan sama-sama doakan kawan-kawan tu yang kalau dia memang nak kerja tak apalah. Tapi kalau memang dia mohon ke universiti tapi tak dapat, kita doakan supaya dia dapat peluang juga. Dan you all yang ada kat sini, tanya sekali lagi dan ingat betapa susahnya, betapa apa nama tu, tabah. You melalui 3 tahun dekat Polytechnic, diploma masing-masing lah. Apa je diploma. Was it easy? It wasn't easy kan? It was a tough fight to come all this way here to get that CPA or CGPA you call it, yang melayakkannya untuk masuk ke FTK pada hari ini. Jadi tanya sekali lagi ya. Ingat ibu perjuangan tu. You yang buatkan, you yang jalan. That past 3 years sangat berjaya tanya. Now you are now in the university in FTK UPSM. Teruskan perjuangan tu. Teruskan perjuangan tu. Ingat saat ini apa yang you rasa dan apa yang you fikirkan dalam minda you. So bila masa di sepanjang 2,5 ataupun 3 tahun you ada di sini dengan kita, di waktu-waktu bila you terasa macam nak give up. Kita tak tahu kan jalan berliku-liku ni. You rasa nak give up for whatever reason, ingat balik pada detik ini apa perasaan you, apa cita-cita you, apa aspirasi you, apa janji you pada diri you. Yeah. So without further ado, I'm going to share my slides so that kalau you tak berapa nak dengar pun you tengoklah. Okay. I pass it on to the AJK lah, so they can share with you the slides nanti. Jadi bolehlah rujuk juga kan macam tu lah harapannya. Okay, let's see. Let's hope it works. Is it working? Okay, you're seeing my screen. Very good. Sekejap ya, aku nak alihkan ni dulu. Yang dia tak nak bagi saya alih. See, what can I do? Yes. Kejap, bear with me. Let me do it. Let me see. Seriously?
Bukan dekat atas, dan kiri.
Bukan anak alihkan ni, dia tengah block my button nak tekan slideshow. Nampak tak?
Dekat atas tu ada listen yang bulat anak panah tu, sebelah kanan dia. Atas listen.
Mana?
Atas mana?
Atas mana?
Kiri.
Ya. Dekat atas listen tu ada satu kotak tu, tekan kat situ boleh.
Mana
satu?
Atas listen tu.
Sorry, di mana?
Insert.
Atas insert. Atas dia.
Okay, right.
Yes.
I didn't
know. Thank you. I didn't know there's a button. Thank you.
Right.
Okay, so I learned one thing new today. Thank you very much. Okay, these are the slides. Here we go. You are supposed to be in these 1.5 hours or 1 hour I harap dah habis lah, then you can have a discussion kan. You are supposed to go through this a bit of information here, and hopefully we can start thinking a bit more like engineering technologies and no longer like pelajar dekat politeknik dah lebih besar dan lebih matang dah masuk ke universiti, dan you akan start to change your mindset. Okay, so this is what I'm trying to do here.
I didn't
say this. Albert Einstein said this. You probably heard about this before. Dia kata education is not the learning of facts, but the training of the mind to think. And you probably have heard of Aristotle saying something similar about education. Jadi kita pun dah pause sekejap dan fikirlah berapa kerap kan kita bila kita masuk universiti, masuk kelas, kita hafal mati je. Ada tak? Bila dah hafal mati tak apa, bila suruh buat assignment kita copy paste. So itu semua bukan pendidikan ya, itu kita tak belajar sebenarnya. Yang penting ialah kita kena cernakan ilmu-ilmu tu dan fikir, think. Thinking is the key word sebenarnya. Right? So remember, once you're in the university especially, you got to start spending more time on thinking instead of just bulat-bulat terima maklumat ilmu yang diberikan tu tanpa memprosesnya. Yeah. Alright, here we go. So there are basically just 5 topics in here. First and foremost, we are in the Faculty of Engineering Technology, maka eloklah kita tengok sebentar apakah falsafah teknologi ni. Okay. Okay.
So it says
here, at the heart of creating technological solution, we have beliefs or values, identity, and the mission. And if you look at this little yellow diagram here, you can see that there is a triangle at the back. Maksudnya dia secara hierarki punya. Jadi your beliefs and values are here. Your kepercayaan dengan nilai-nilainya. Why do I need to do this? Kenapa? Kenapa nak sibuk-sibuk mesti nak belajar dah 3 tahun teruk-teruk dekat poli? Kenapa masih nak sambung lagi nak code siksa diri lagi? So apakah itu kepercayaan dan nilai yang mendorong you untuk berada di sini? Seterusnya, kita boleh tanya diri kita. Apakah identiti saya? Who am I to do this? What is it that makes me the person to do this? Kenapa tak orang lain? Kenapa I yang kena buat? Dan akhir sekali, andai kata kita dah boleh jawab 2 soalan sebelum ini, maka kita tanya, apakah misi kita? Apakah misi kita? Iaitu, what is my purpose? Sebab apa? Semua orang akan jawapan lain kot. Saya datang sebab itu cita-cita saya datang kerana mak ayah suruh datang, saya datang sebab tak ada pilihan lain dan sebagainya. Lepas di sesi, saya berharap pelajar-pelajar baru semua akan ambil sedikit masa lah untuk fikirkan dan tanya diri sendiri 3 soalan ini dan jawab untuk diri sendiri supaya kita nampak kita kompas nak ke depan ni. Right? Dan once we have identified that, you see that this is all underlain by the philosophy of technological development and application, and this actually becomes the guiding light. Dia macam kat laut kan, mana-mana orang tak nampak ada batu karang, ada pulau kecil-kecil tu, maka kita perlukan apa yang kita panggilkan lighthouse kan, rumah api. So these 3 questions once you have answered them akan menjadi you punya lighthouse ataupun rumah api dalam pengembaraannya 3 tahun setengah dekat universiti nanti. Alright, so remember that the keyword is the heart. Sebenarnya. Macam mana kita terror teknologi, terror technical, terror menerbitkan formula dan sebagainya, semua tak ada guna. Andai kata kita punya hati tu tak berapa nak diperbetulkan. Alright. And very quickly, we also know that whenever we talk about technical solution, kan, you are going to become professional engineering technology when you finish your study. Bila graduate nanti. Dan ini tanggungjawab sangat besar. Sebab you akan buat sesuatu, you akan design, formulate dan menghasilkan solusi-solusi secara engineering, secara teknikal yang boleh membantu selesaikan pelbagai masalah teknikal kat luar. Cuma sekarang untuk menghasilkan the technological solution, usually you take into account the internal factors, betul kan? Dia akan consider faktor apa? Sumber, resources, consider faktor masa, time, you may even consider the human resources, sumber manusia yang ada, dan benda-benda yang dalam kawalan you. Kemudian you perlu juga ambil kira the social economic punya impact. Right? Why? Because all this at the end of it akan menjejaskan the greater sphere of everything, that is our environment and sustainability punya issue. Kan? I'm sure when you were in poly, you have gone through this exercise as well. Where dalam buat assignment ke projek, pensyarah akan bimbing you dan ingatkan you. Tindakan-tindakan atau keputusan-keputusan, design, solusi-solusi yang you cadangkan tu perlu dan wajar ambil kira impaknya pada sosioekonomi dan juga alam sekitar. Okay? And we wonder kan, perkataan teknologi ni, filosofi teknologi, falsafah teknologi ni, siapa yang ungkapkan, siapa yang cakap ni? The first person who talk about this is actually Ernst Kapf. This chap back in the 1800s, penghujung 19th century. So in his book Elements of Philosophy on Technology, he says this. Tengok the sentence yang terakhir ni ya. The philosophy of technology studies what? It studies the character of technology and the relations to society. The keyword is what? Society. Hebat macam mana dia tak cakap pun. The philosophy of technology of someone who is going to apply this technology like you, the future engineering technologies, is that you got to understand dan menghayati dan menjiwai the impactnya dan hubungan you punya solusi teknikal tu kepada masyarakat secara umumnya. Okay. And the branches in the philosophy of technology are these: the ethics, relationship between science and technology, human-technology relations, and last but not least, the political dimension of technology. These are just facts. You can go a bit deeper into this if you like. You can Google if you like. We are not going to spend time on this here, just secara sepintas lalu. And the impact of technology on society, I rasa kalau tak list kat sini pun kita boleh fikirkan policy making. practice of design, technical innovations, and also the implication on governance and security. Very obvious punya yang just for contoh, security ni, cyber security sekarang. Banyak dalam PKP ni semua duduk rumah, semua main tab, main phone, main komputer je kan, semua internet lah. Banyak juga case kita tengok tiap hari dekat news, dekat surat khabar yang orang kena scam lah, kena fraud lah dan sebagainya. Kan? So this is going to cyber security, identity kena stolen, our credit card is being spent by other people, our bank account or our internet email accounts are being hacked by people. So this is one form of security breach that engineering technologies could help to address. Alright? And these are more relevant to you. As an engineering technologist, what are your worldviews? Worldviews means apakah you punya pandangan dan dunia, apakah you rasakan you punya tanggungjawab dan peranan you di dunia ni, dalam peranan you sebagai seorang profesional. First and foremost, we talk about the power of technology. Are human beings still in control? Saya say more and more advance, lagi ke depan lagi maju. Dulu kalau jengkaut kaut tanah je, lepas tu jengkaut yang lebih besar, lebih kuat. Sekarang ialah jengkaut yang tak ada manusia lah, memang guna robot saja. Okay. Secondly, the impact of technology on society and human, what are the pros, what are the cons? Tak ada semua benda baik habisan, tak ada semua benda buruk habisan, mesti ada pro and con. Can you weigh them? Can you identify them? Next, the ethical dimension. How do we strike a balance? When is it that we are crossing the boundary? And last but not least, the ethical limits. Where do we draw the line? Maybe in a hardcore engineering technology like civil, mechanical, electrical, maybe it's not so obvious. But maybe people in the biotechnological field, chemical engineering fields, people in stem cell research, benda-benda yang berkait dengan manusia kan, human beings, maybe those are a little bit more tricky. That we talk about contohnya stem cells, so eventually you could probably create a human being that will not die kan, you can keep creating stem cells and growing different organs to replace the spare parts so you never die, for instance. But is that the right way to be living, or is that what yang kita kata Tuhan tentukan untuk manusia kat sini, hidup tak ada mati.
And this is the last slide on the philosophy of technology. We ask ourselves, my dear students, what are your responsibilities as an engineering technologist when you finish your studies here, when you step out of the university and become one of those professionals out there? So we understand the technology is inevitable in human life. Kita perlukan teknologi. Kalau tak ada teknologi, kita masih lagi duduk atas pokok, kita masih lagi kayu basikal, kita tak ada boleh merentasi benua, merentasi lautan untuk ke negara-negara yang lain. Contohnya, kita tak ada boleh bersidang macam ni. PKP duduk rumah tak boleh buat apa-apa lah, tak payah masuk universiti sampailah PKP habis. Contohnya, sebab teknologi lah kita dapat bertemu muka walaupun masing-masing berada di Melaka, Malaysia. And the next one is to extend our human capacity in problem solving. So remember, as an engineering technologist, as a technical professional, your job is very much focusing on problem solving. We discuss a bit more later on today. And when we talk about advancing technology, we are really talking about extending and expanding our human capability to deal with problems. Right? And we need to identify the social implications, and finally, how do we apply the social implication with kesedaran into our technical solution formulations? So remember, next says, the philosophy of technology is all about knowing the relationship between the technical solutions of technology on human life, on the society. That is why the social implications, the economic implications, on the bigger scale, the environment and sustainability punya aspect perlu diambil kira dalam kita punya pertimbangan dan perangkaan solusi itu. Alright. So that is so much about the dry stuff. Now we move on to more interesting stuff. Okay? Now, I'm sure as students coming into the university, you'll probably be curious how can I make my brain work better? If I can make my brain work better, then I can learn better, learn faster, and learn more effectively, so that when I graduate and become an engineering technologist, I am really pro and cool and poyo. Macam itulah. So before we can do anything about that, we need to understand how does our brain work. I have only two slides for you here. Our brain is one of the most complex organs in the body. In fact, it is the most complex, and it is like the black box, the black box of human being. No one can yet to understand what it is like, why does it function like this, how does it work. Yes, we can do all the MRI, CT scans, all the amazing scans they have done on our brain. We still cannot fully understand it. Maybe, just maybe, itulah kotak hitam yang dimasukkan untuk seorang manusia, itulah rahsia Tuhan dalam mencipta manusia and our brain. Einstein died. Einstein donated his brain, to be examined because he is apparently a genius, right? So what happened was that when he died, his brain was taken out, and his brain was being dissected in slices. Dipotongkan, dihiriskan, keping-kepingan. Kenapa? Sebab setiap section tu dipreservekan in the plexiglass and diedarkan ke seluruh dunia punya makmah-makmah yang sangat tersohor untuk kaji. Apa yang buatkan Albert Einstein begitu pandai dan hebat dapat memikirkan theory of relativity yang none of us can understand pun. Macam itulah. Of course, the person who comes closest to understanding and applying it is probably Stephen Hawking. They have one similarity between Einstein dengan Stephen Hawking. They are both physicists yang bukan biasa-biasa. They are theoretical physicists. Physicist means ahli fizik kan. Theoretical means mereka fikirkan dalam otak mereka dan terbitkan pemahaman mereka teori itu dalam bentuk mathematical model tanpa melakukan eksperimen. Siapa yang nak verify, orang lain akan buat eksperimen untuk verify kan. So this is memang sangat hebat punya lah. Fikir aja dalam otak dia. Okay? So that is so much about the brain. Now let's look at the two parts I told you about. The first one is about the prefrontal lobe. It's actually at the front bit of your brain. So what does this prefrontal lobe do? Number one, it is very proactive. Number two, it's slow and deliberate, wise and empathic. It is analytical and sequential. This is where all your logical thinking will happen. It has limitless capabilities, imaginative, and it is very, very creative. So you think about it, you look through these notes here, you see that this is the part of your brain that helps you to process information carefully, logically, rationally, and help you come up with solutions, ideas yang bernas, yang berstruktur dan tersusun. Sebab itu dia ambil masa. It's slow and deliberate. Dia memang akan ambil masa, tenangkan diri dan fikir. Kalau dia tengah buat macam tu, tengah berfikir dan teliti, yang tengah berfungsi dan aktifnya adalah bahagian depan otak you yang dinamakan prefrontal lobe. Now let's look at the friend or the twin of prefrontal lobe. Ini buat thinking punya kan. So dia punya pasangan yang berada di belakang yang kita namakan amigdala. Amigdala ni buat apa punya? Is fight or flight. So let's try to understand what is meant by this. It is very self-involved, bahagian otak ni, lives in the present, highly reactive, extremely fast moving, and is a random task switcher. Pendek cerita ialah bahagian belakang otak kita ni, amigdala ni, akan menerima rangsangan yang kita terima dari kita, mata kita, hidung kita, lidah kita, kulit kita, dan telinga kita. Terima semua rangsangan tu, serta-merta dia akan reaksi. Contoh yang simple. Kalau ambil api dekat dengan jari you, apa you akan buat? You akan tanpa fikir, you akan sentak you punya tangan. Itu maksudnya fight or flight. When you come to an emergency, you come to a stimulant, you akan serta-merta tindak balas tanpa berfikir sebenarnya. So this is what we mean by the amygdala functioning. Okay, boleh ya? Depan dengan belakang dia. Satu ialah yang kat depan, the prefrontal lobe, satu kat belakang, amygdala. Two main parts of the brain. Okay. So now we ask ourselves, why I know now the front bit of my brain is taking care of my thinking, the back bit of my brain is taking care of me in terms of emergency, reaksi cepat, okay? But how can I make them work together so that I can have the best brain work? Betul tak? Now, before we can even do that, we need to understand, we need to identify what are the challenges, apakah cabaran-cabaran yang akan menguji kita untuk menghalang kita punya depan dan belakang, bahagian depan dan belakang otak ni untuk saling berkawan, saling bekerjasama semaksimalnya untuk optimizekan kita punya pembelajaran dalam kes ini. So, apakah isunya? Ada dua je isunya. Satu, the unexpected complexity of the situation for you as a student. Unexpected. So apa PKP? Dah setahun dah. Alright? It's very complex. Kenapa complex? You're going to be staying at home. You're going to learn online. You're going to see a lot of homework. And on top of that, sebab you duduk rumah, you kena lah tolong kat rumah juga kan. Lipat kain, tolong mak sapu lantai dan sebagainya. Not just girls, boys also got job to do kan. And some of you may even be helping your family in terms of finance. You may be working part-time as well. So benda-benda ni bila put together, it's going to be extra workload, and they could actually cause you to make your life feel a little bit more complex. Alright? And having said that, when you are in a situation like that, you feel you are so pressured, you feel like sangat complex lah sekarang. Ada tak you pernah rasa, boleh tak kita cepatkan sikit, fast forward sikit ke depan, supaya cepat-cepat berlalu. Ingat, when you were younger, when you were in school, you had to wear uniform to school kan, masa pergi sekolah rendah, sekolah menengah kan pakai uniform. Ada tak masa you form 5, you tak sabar nak keluar dari sekolah, masuk universiti, masuk politeknik, tak payah pakai baju seragam lagi? Ada kan? Dah lah warna putih, senang kotor. Tapi bila you sampai ke poli, boleh pakai apa je you suka tu, walaupun masih ada peraturan, tak boleh pakai benda senting-senting koyak-koyak tu. You dah tak rasa itu ada sesuatu yang sangat hebat dah. Am I right? And you see? So you see that this pattern repeat itself in here. When you are at a certain stage, you wish that all this will quickly pass, you go to the next stage. But when you are at the next stage, then you realize that, it's the same. You get bored of it, or it becomes a norm. It is no longer exciting, and you look forward to quickly pass this stage and move on to the next. Macam tu lah manusia. And sometimes you may feel that the complexity that comes is faster than you can handle. So kalau sangat-sangat complex, more and more complex you tak boleh handle, you mula rasa stress. Atau kalau complexity datang lambat sangat, you rasa boring pula. And all these factors that come to play can be independence. Once you're growing up, you're in your early 20s dah kan, dah 20-an, nak adult tak adult, nak budak tak budak sebenarnya, nak jadi young adults. You're thinking about relationship tak semestinya boyfriend girlfriend. It can be also be your new classmates, your lecturers, at home with your family, your friends that financial. Dapat scholarship, parents boleh tolong, boleh tampung you ke tak, your career, kalau dah habis mengaji ni, apa kita nak buat, family, etc. Banyak macam-macam. Right? I have come up this graph by Alan. Saya rasa ini interesting untuk kita tengok. Now, kita orang teknikal kan senang je, kita quickly look at the graph. Faksi Y ni adalah the complexity, tahap complexity of your life. Betapa kompleks ya. Faksi X ni adalah I feel I can handle. You punya kemampuan dah handle untuk uruskan. So eloknya kat tengah ni lah kan. Makin tinggi kompleksiti hidup I, makin mampu I uruskan. Nampak tak? Makin tinggi, makin boleh urus. So balance zone tengah ni bagus, good balance. Bila akan timbul masalah? Timbul masalah bila kita berada di zone atas atau bawah. Atas cuba tengok. Atas means what? I punya hidup makin kompleks, banyak masalah lah. Tapi ada kemampuan urus tu tak tinggi. Nampak? The points around here. Complexity high, bring it down. I punya kemampuan is not high. So I feel stressed, I can feel very anxious lah. At the bottom zone, what is it like? Complexity of my life is low aja. Point ni contohnya. Tapi kemampuan I sangat tinggi. So I become bored. Betul tak? I tahu I mampu. I boleh ke depan lagi. Tapi the challenges so low. Tengok. Kat sini aja. Senang kemampuan I sangat tinggi dah. So you feel bored. That's why I said ideally it should be somewhere in the middle here. Okay. The second challenge to good brain work is that we have connectivity punya problem, unprecedented. Unprecedented ni sebelum tak pernah kecapi. Ini pun terkasih pada COVID lah. Sebab COVID tiba-tiba kita ada 5G plus punya internet. Betul lah. Sebelum ni I rasa kita tak begitu attached kepada kita punya handphone lah, kepada laptop lah, tab sebagainya. Tapi sekarang kita suka tak suka dia terpaksa dah. Kan? Belajar pun melalui online, mengaji pun melalui online, kita mengajar pun online, meeting online, supervision online, beli barang pun online. I rasa beli barang semua tahu lah, Shopee, Lazada dan sebagainya. Okay, connectivity. So what is connectivity you're talking about? Massive digital connectivity. Alright? Whether you're learning, whether you're talking about entertainment, your Netflix, your social life, you punya WhatsApp is kuno lah. You're talking about FB, longer for long thing kan. Kalau shorter thing, Twitter ke Snapchat dan sebagainya. Your finances, you tak payah pergi beratur nak bayar bil electric bill air, you akan guna Maybank to you dan sebagainya. And you see that you are always responding to your ringtone, your beeps, your vibration, all the notifications that keep popping up in your mobile phone. So in other words, you are so connected all the time. Waktu malam pun klik sini, beep sana, crowd sana. Am I right? And secara tak sengaja, you tak sengaja sebenarnya, kita semua tak sengaja, we have cultivated digital habits. Dulu waktu petang kita keluar berjogging, main bola dan sebagainya. Alasan PKP kita duduk rumah berjogging dengan main bola sepak juga, tapi online. Jari aja gerak, apa-apa lain semua tak gerak. Sambil makan keripik pisang. So 3 bulan kemudian timbang hush. Kenapa tiba-tiba tambah 5 kg macam tu lah. And this is not very good digital habits ni sebab it's negatively affecting your brain and also the nervous system. Why? Ingat lagi you punya bahagian belakang otak tu, amigdala tu yang sangat stimulated. Dia terima je perangsangkan dengan cepat-cepat nak reaktif. Alright? So because overstimulated, sebab banyak sangat rangsangan. Benda digital kan tak tidur punya. You buka dia ada, buka video, buka game, buka berita, buka homework, buka apa je. So these are all stimulations, and what happens is that you make your brain addicted, ketagih kepada digital stimulation. And in other words, you keep your amygdala or your brain tu in constant high alert. Kalau sentiasa aktif, lama-lama dia pun letih dan lesu lah. You are going to danger zone sebenarnya. So kita pause sekejap, masing-masing muhasabah diri sekejap lah. Betul tak? Sejak PKP ni, banyak main handphone lah. Kalau sebelum ni, bersukan sekarang tak pergi bersukan, alasan PKP tak boleh keluar-keluar, tapi itu alasan betul sebab berjogging boleh sebenarnya contohnya, kan? Atau sekarang ni, dulu kalau pagi pukul 8 dah duduk kat meja tadi, dah mula nak buat study semua. Sekarang pukul 12 pun tak pasti dah bangun. Sebab apa? Sebab semalam tengok Netflix sampai pukul 3 pagi. Contohnya. So you see, kita dengan tak sengaja we get into this trap dah. So this is very dangerous because our brain, our amygdala is overstimulated. And we find ourselves drowning dengan rasa kelemasan. Lemas. Sebab banyak sangat dah disconnectivity. Segala-gala nak kita update. FB, Twitter, I don't know what else, Snapchat dan sebagainya lah. Right? So this is something that my dear students take note lah. Kena take note. So you are just starting your journey in the university. You belum tahu lagi apa yang akan berlaku. When we were in Polytechnic, we think it was tough, but we made it. We made it. When you come to university, it's a slightly different learning environment. The challenge you're facing now is not just about coming into a new place. It's about studying online as well. Betul tak? So you ada dua benda yang you perlu adaptasikan diri. Satu ialah you masuk universiti dah, tahap yang lebih tinggi. Nombor dua, you kena study everything online now, which is really quite a challenge, right? That's why I said you really got to start checking you punya jadual waktu to be digitally connected. Once the classes begin on Sunday, you really should cut down your Netflix, cut down the amount of time you spend on social media dan sebagainya. Faham? Pastikan masa tu digunakan dengan penuh manfaat lah. Kalau tidak, cuba tengok apa berlaku. You have so much of work, you feel overloaded, overwhelmed. Right? And there's so much of distraction because you have shopping to do, you have entertainment, all your social media, you have Netflix to catch up, so many series you nak tengok, you kena keep up dengan kawan sebelah you, tengah buat apa, kena trending pula tu dan sebagainya. When all these stimulants, all these rangsangan keep coming in, overreacting without thinking, you are overworking your amygdala, and you're slowing down your prefrontal lobe. The thinking bit of your brain is not so working anymore. Even though you are studying. Sebab you sangat banyak distraction, you allow your entertainment lah, berita-berita tentang entah film star mana, K-pop mana dan sebagainya kurang relevan dan kurang penting lah buat sekarang ni banding dengan pengajian ya. You biarkan semua tu asyik masuk, maka you punya amygdala sangat aktif, sangat gembira, excited. Over excited. Sedangkan yang thinking tu makin mengecut sebab you tak bagi dia exercise pun, tak payah fikir pun, you asyik nak reaksi. Sini Twitter, sana I tengok K-pop nak reaksi, nak cakap siapa paling handsome, siapa punya rambut dah tukar colour dan sebagainya. And this, if you don't keep it under control, you will start telling your park, I sangat stress. Siapa tak stress kalau macam ni? Siapa tak stres? Kalau sentiasa biarkan amygdala tu overactive, hyperactive, tak rehat. Sampai malam pun tak nak tidur lagi sebab nak tengok, nak kejar your Netflix dan sebagainya. Dan sebab sebelum tidur tengok tu tembak sini, tembak sana, apa slash ini, slash sana punya wayang. The brain is overactivated. Bila tidur pun mimpi benda macam tu. Bangun pun rasa letih lagi. Manakan tak stres? Manakan boleh buat assignment lah, nak pergi kuliah dengan elok dan sebagainya. So my dear students, take note lah. Jangan sampai benda ni berlaku pada diri kita.
Okay.
Now, so much about the brain works. Now, as I promised you, we will talk about how can we make sure that we start on the right footing. How can we make sure that we don't fall into the trap of getting ourselves stressed out, or because we didn't manage ourselves properly right from the beginning. So As there are many things we can talk about here. We can talk for days just on how to make it work, how to be successful in the university, and so on and so forth. But I have picked out only two things that I want to talk to you about.
First is
about the Zeigarnik effect. I don't know if you heard about this before, but I came to know about this 2 months ago. I was reading a book and I came across this, and I thought this is, and I did a bit more research about it, and I found that this is probably one of the most important psychological phenomenon. Every human being face this, that we should all know, so that we can understand how our brain works, and it helps us to deal with our lives sebenarnya.
Okay, Zeigarnik.
The term Zeigarnik sebenarnya comes from Bluma Zeigarnik, the lady psychologist who first coined the term. Dia yang jumpa, dia yang capture this phenomenon, maka dinamakan Zeigarnik effect. The interesting thing about Bluma Zeigarnik is that back in the 1920s, when she published a paper on finished and unfinished tasks, obviously in Russian, this is translated in English, interesting, on finished and unfinished tasks, in the 1920s, Russia, Europe kan? Masa itu Europe tengah sibuk apa? In the early 20th century, seluruh Eropah termasuk UK tengah sibuk apa? Sibuk memperjuangkan kaum wanita dapat mengundi. The women's suffrage era. Okay, women's suffrage. Nak mengundi, dapatkan hak mengundi untuk kaum wanita. And pada waktu itu, negara pertama di Eropah yang telah mengizinkan atau meluluskan undang-undang untuk mengizinkan perempuan kaum wanita untuk mengundi adalah Russia. You'll be surprised. Whether or not it was a true voting, or whether or not it was a fair or whatsoever is not important. The fact remains that Russia was the first country in Europe to actually exercise that. Even UK yang katakan sangat modern dan sebagainya pun bukan the first one. Right? That's why during the late 19th century, early 20th century in the UK, across England, right up to Scotland and now Wales, banyak rusuhan sebenarnya sama waktu-waktu itu. Right? If you want to know which era, which time I'm talking about, it is sometime after Sherlock Holmes. Sherlock Holmes is coming towards the end of 19th century when the Tower Bridge was built and all, so it was a very active time. The empire was expanding. Queen Victoria was reigning and all. So in the 1890s sampailah early 1910 macam tu. So in the 1910, 1920 mulalah all this revolution going towards modernized country. Right? So back to this Bluma Zeigarnik. All it started was she was eating at a restaurant. Tengah makan restoran je. So apa yang Bluma dapati ialah bila dia masuk ke sebuah restoran dan makan dengan kawan dia akan panggil waiter. Kalau kita masuk restoran, kita akan panggil waiter, pelayan datang, kita ambil order semua. So pelayan tu akan hantar makanan kita dan kita makan. Cik sini sila tengok, you see I punya sayur ni tak cukup hijau, boleh tukar? Oh, dia akan segera. Baik puan, saya segera tukarkan. Bawa pergi tukar. Oh, saya makan ikan. Sini adik tengok ini ikan ni ekornya tak cukup lurus untuk saya ni. Cuba tukar, boleh tukar. Apa kita minta pun dia akan segera uruskan. Dia akan ingat apa yang kita minta. Kalau dia kata, nanti I order mi goreng jangan pedas sangat. Dia akan pastikan bila dia hantar makanan, tadi cik dah orderkan mi goreng kurang pedas, ini yang kurang pedas. Memang sangat attentif, sangat ingat, sangat responsif kepada apa yang kita nak. Tapi bila kita sini tolong bayar, nak bayar, ambil resit bayar, selesai bayar je. Kalau kita masih duduk kat situ dan kita panggil dia, pelayan sama datang, dia tak ingat dah you order apa. Dia tak ingat dah you nak apa sebenarnya. Okay, this was what Bluma Zeigarnik noticed when she was eating in a restaurant with a friend. Erti kata lain, she found that why is it that pelayan masa tengah layan dia, sebelum dia bayar dan kata dah selesai urusannya kat restoran tu, akan layan dia, ingat nak layan dia dan sangat attentif terhadap dia. Tapi dah selesai dia, terus dah macam bukan tak endahkan dia lah macam tu, dah tak penting seakan. It is because our brain doesn't like open loops. When the pelayan is still layaning you, dia tak selesai dengan you lagi, betul tak? Dia hanya akan dapat komisen atau tips kalau dia selesaikan pelanggan tu ambil order, hantarkan makanan, selesaikan dapat duit, hantarkan resit, selesai. Betul tak? Kalau pelanggan nak bagi dia tips apa, itu lain cerita lah. Nampak tak? Tapi selagi itu tak selesai, it's an open loop in our brain. And our brain, remember, hold on to this incomplete information. It doesn't like it. Otak kita tak suka bulatan yang tak lengkap. Tak selesai punya bulatan, tak selesai punya kerja, dia tak suka. Sebab tu you ada teringat tak? Kalau kita buat kerja yang tak siap, macam ada benda ganggu kita, buat apa lain pun terganggu dan teringat-ingat. This is the Zeigarnik effect, and it happens to us all the time. Betul tak? Ada terperasan? Okay? And what is keeping us so busy? Sebab bukan satu bulatan tak lengkap, ada banyak bulatan yang tak lengkap dalam otak kita ni. Ada yang besar, ada yang kecil. Ada yang lompong tu kecil, ada yang lompong tu sangat besar. And all this mental stuff that keep us awake in the night. Ini yang kita maksudkan sebenarnya. The mental stuff. What is the mental stuff? Macam-macam lah. Kalau kita tengah study, ingat pasal assignment, report, dengan kawan kita dalam satu group, kan suka kita, tak suka kita, pensyarah kita besok suruh ada pop quiz, macam-macam lah. Mak suruh beli cili, lupa lagi nak beli cili. Tadi ayah minta tolong bersihkan aquarium, macam bersihkan lupa buka pump pula. Macam-macam. Macam-macam. And this, kalau ada banyak sangat this circle yang tak boleh nak tutup, maka timbullah apa yang kita katakan anxiety and stress. Saya rasa dua perkataan ni is a word of the year lah. Sekarang kan semua kata PKP membuatkan kita duduk rumah, kita sangat rasa terkongkong, kita tak happy, kita main-main internet pun tak happy, kita anxiety. Tak ada anxiety, kita stress. Bila kita stress, kita ada mental health problem. Am I right? So kita fikir balik kan, siapa nak disalahkan ni? Bukan kita sendiri ke? Okay? So this is the Zeigarnik effect I'm telling you about. And here's another example. Simple example kat sini kita tengok project. Nanti kita start mengaji, nanti kita tengoklah ada project semua yang kena buat. When we have projects, we are talking about ada small component kan. Ada banyak-banyak perlu dibuat untuk selesaikannya. Dalam puzzle ni, there are some that are big, there are some that are small, but they must all come together in order for the picture to be complete. You pernah main puzzle kan? Hilang seketul pun tak okay kan? Yang 1,000 keping ke 5,000 keping ke. I can never do a puzzle punya. To me, they all look the same. I think I got this deficiency. I can't do puzzle, I can't do models, those like gun dams and all. I like them, but I can't assemble them. I tak berani keluarkan dari kotak project. I don't know how to assemble them. I just can't. Beli IKEA punya perabot, I pun tak tahu how to assemble punya. I look at the layout, they all look at me and that's it lah. Nanti minta tolong siapa-siapa lah. Considering I'm a civil student, agak surprising. Patut I tak boleh baca map punya kot. So I sangat bersyukur mereka ciptakan GPS lah. Anyhow, I'm digressing. So here, go back to this picture here. Big and small pieces, you got to make sure all are put together. Walaupun a small piece yang you tak letak pun, Zeigarnik effect dia akan ganggu you. You tak akan happy punya. Sebab you punya project tu ada open end. Nampak tak? Tak selesai. Jadi it says here to complete even the smallest action is important. Why? Because it will help create this unconscious commitment for you to finish your project. Keywords ini ialah unconscious. Unconscious. You tak sedar sebenarnya. Sebab dia ganggu you. So you kena selesaikan. You see it? So it's that unclosed punya loop tu. So what I'm trying to say here is that kan, we can use this Zeigarnik effect to our advantage. Sebab kita tahu dah sekarang, sebab satu benda yang kita mula buat, kalau tak selesai, kita terganggu. So baik kita gunakan Zeigarnik effect ni untuk bantu kita gerak ke depan. Buatkan kita lagi motivated nak siapkan kerja. There are 4 steps here I'm giving you how to get things done. Pardon the typo here, things ya. Number one, take the first step. Once you started it, you mulakan the bulatan dah, betul tak? And bila dah start bulatan, apa kita kata bulatan tu kena sempurna. Selagi tak tutup bulatan tu, you tak boleh berhenti. So once you take the first step and start drawing the bulatan, you get started and you create the momentum. Bila dah momentum kan, jisim kali hal laju. So kalau dah mula bergerak, susah nak berhenti ni. So that is a good thing about having this Zeigarnik effect. Step 2, always take breaks. This associate from the task at hand. Sometimes people say kan, kalau nak belajar duduk kat situ 2 jam, jangan bergerak, lekatkan punggung kat kursi, belajar 2 jam. Tapi kita semua tahu, maksimum half an hour kita guna melayang dah. 1 jam sebenarnya 45 minit mungkin buat kerja. 15 minit tu tak tahulah otak tu kat mana. That's why it's important to take your breaks. Macam KitKat kata take a break makan KitKat tu. And when you take a break, remember from now onwards, especially when you're studying, bila you ambil break tu, jangan buat benda yang masih berkait dengan mengaji tu. Contoh tengah belajar tentang soil mechanics, jangan ambil buku magazine pasal soil mechanics lagi ataupun ambil magazine yang tentang matematika apa. Tak payah. Pi keluar lompat ke main dengan adik ke, keluar tanam pokok kejap ke, atau pi dengar muzik ke. Buat sesuatu yang totally tak berkait. Sebab kajian saintifik menunjukkan kalau kita tengah buat sesuatu yang sangat serius, fokus buat sebenarnya belajar, kalau kita putuskan aktiviti tu, half an hour kita belajar, kita ambil 15 minit berehat tu, buat sesuatu yang totally different. Tak sentuh buku, tak sentuh pen yang tak ada kaitan dengan apa yang kita buat tu.
Kemudian kita kembali buat kerja tu, efek dia sangat-sangat berkesan banding dengan kita yang tak berhenti terus-menerus 2 jam belajar macam tu, ataupun kita berhenti sekejap tapi break tu kita buat sesuatu yang masih berkait dengan kerja tu. Contohnya salin semua nota ke, cantikkan nota itu masih berkait. It's not going to be as effective. Try this, you cuba. You buat sesuatu tengah mengaji, half an hour later break, 15 minutes, buat sesuatu yang totally different. Alright? Main game ke contoh. Number 3, do prepare a to-do list. Berapa kerap kita cakap ni kan, tuliskan apa nak buat tu to-do list. Sebenarnya kita tak sedar, when we write a to-do list tu, we actually taking this unfinished work, this circles yang tak habis tu, tak sempurna tu, atas kertas. Once tak keluarkan dari otak kita on the paper, we know we don't have to remember it anymore. So you feel less stressed out. Tak payah nak ingat lagi kan atas kertas tu, atau you letakkan dalam you punya phone ke, komputer ke, you put it in your calendar, dah tak payah fikir dah, it's there. I just have to rujuk aja. Cuma the thing with to-do list is that kita pandai list, kalau kita tak pandai nak laksanakan. Ada perasaan tak? Tulis, makin hari makin banyak list tu tapi tak siap-siap pun kerja tu. So in order to have a to-do list, kemudian boleh ada masa untuk sempurnakan, you can refer the thinking out loud in the series. One of the things I shared with the students is about the power plan. You may want to look at this. Nanti I'll tell you about it. Tell you about a bit more about these recorded videos for your senior last semester. And the last step is that create cliffhangers for yourself. You tahu tak cliffhanger? Cliffhanger ialah orang pandai gunung hang over the tebing macam tu lah. So in the movie, a cliffhanger is you kan tengok Netflix kan, banyak siri. Selalu
setiap episod akan berhenti pada saat yang you nak continue tengok, betul tak? Hero tu kena tampar kat muka. Next apa akan berlaku? Ada so you tak sabar nak tengok the next episode.
Apa berlaku so you tak sabar nak tengok the next episode. Those are cliffhangers. Do the same for yourself, for your own. Do something, leave it today. Kadang hari ni dah belajar 1 jam soal mekanik, berhenti kat part yang you tahu you tak sabarnya besok nak sambung sebab nak tahu apa jawapannya. Macam tu. Alright? So that is what we mean by
creating the cliffhangers.
Okay. So the last part of our sharing today is about the mindset shift, which is actually the main fundamental focus of our sharing today. Betul kan? To shift the mindset going towards becoming an engineering technologies. So there are 3 points here, alright? And dia berkait dengan kita dalam bincang sebelum ni. Nombor satu ialah we talk about a lot of distraction, we talk about a lot of complexity kan? Banyak benda yang kita fikirkan. So this stuff, what stuff? Mental stuff in our head, physical, digital, mental, emotional, segala-gala ni yang not very organized, not very sure, not very determined. They need your action and attention. Alright? But you got to remember, my dear students, some of these things yang make you worry, make you risau ni, they can be real or they can be just in your mind. If it's your mind, it's just a perception. Berapa kerap kan kita ada yang kita katakan kita salah sangka. Benda tu kat situ dan kita pandang dia lain macam pula. Sedangkan tak ada pun macam tu. And if you leave these kind of things on its own, you become a constant distraction. Dia ganggu you. It can knock you off. Buat you off balance. Buat you rasa tak ada mood. Buat you rasa macam tak happy. Tak boleh fokus nak cakap. And you must also always remember that you pick up coin, cuba you ambil satu coin satu shilling. Boleh ke you nampak 2 belah shilling tu pada waktu yang sama?
Paling-paling boleh nampak 90% of one side.
Paling-paling boleh nampak 90% of one side and 10% of the other side. You can cuba take a shilling and try lah. So in other words, you never see the 100% of a picture. Jadi tak payahlah kita terlalu hard on ourselves macam tu.
We have all seen this story before.
Let me give.
Is it moving yet?
Give you an example.
Is the slide changed on your
story before?
Okay, there we go. I think all of us have seen this story before, kan? Apparently, I had a quick check. This story about
I think all of us have seen this story before, kan? Apparently, I have a quick check. This story about 6 blind men and an elephant originated in India. Not surprising. There are many two types of elephants. One is an African elephant and the Indian elephant. How can you differentiate them?
Apart from the size and also the shape of the ear. Apparently, an African elephant, if you buka dia punya telinga, bentuk telinga dia
and also the shape of the ear. Apparently, an African elephant, if you bentuk telinga dia tu bentuk benua, right?
Okay, guys.
Do you see my screen?
Is it okay?
Is it okay?
Huh?
Screen tu ada lagi.
Screen tu ada lagi tak? Sebab I tengok macam dah hilang dah.
Ada lagi?
Ada lagi?
Tak ada, tak ada. Tak
Okay,
ada.
so I try to share again. Okay.
Right.
Right. Do you see the elephant just now?
Oh,
Oh, there was no elephant for you.
Right, let's see if it's working.
Right. Let's see if it's working.
Alright,
Alright.
good.
Good.
Let's go here. Press
Let's
this
go here.
nice
Press
button.
this nice button.
Okay.
Okay.
Ada?
Ada?
Kenapa lah kat
Kenapa lah kat sini?
sini?
Okay.
Bear with me.
Bear with me. Getting there.
I said the slides I
pass on to the secretariat. Kalau perlukan, you boleh tengok aja. Okay.
Okay, we have gone through
Okay, we have gone through Zeigarnik. We are moving on to the mindset.
Okay,
We talk about the mental stuff. Then we talk about not seeing the whole picture always. So this is a story about the elephant. Okay. So what I'm trying to say here is that we are looking at a situation where because we can't see, the elephant is so big, kan, and if you have your eyes closed, you can only see one part. So kalau yang si pegang kaki ni, dia kata, oh, elephant is like a tree, besar macam balak macam tu. Kalau dia pegang dekat dia punya tusk, gading, dan dia akan kata, oh, it's a spear, tajam. So you see, sebenarnya kita ni lebih kurang macam ni aja. We don't always see the whole picture. We see one small part of it, and then kita jump to conclusion, macam tu lah, and then kita upset. You see? Sebab tu kadang-kadang orang kata undur jauh sikit and try to see the bigger picture. Tak adalah suruh physically undur. Sebenarnya suruh kita tenang-tenang fikir sejenak.
Siapa
Apa yang tengah berfungsi depan ke belakang otak kita? Depan kan, the prefrontal lobe tu. Jangan cepat-cepat reaksi, biarkan amigdala tu reaksi macam jangan. Biar the prefrontal process carefully, logically, rationally, barulah come to conclusion.
So that is the first.
So that is the first. Number two, we are talking about staying focused.
So as you can
see this little figure put in here, penting kan tengok stay focused ni.
So this is
what we mean. It's not going to be easy for you to put the effort yang bagus. Andai kata kita tak boleh nak fokus. So the ability to think and to direct attention is what we mean by
And when you're
focusing.
focused, relaxed, and fully engaged,
that is when you can study and learn well.
And
And if you think that something is not, it's just temporary je. Ingat, contohnya suruh buat ulang kaji. Tak mau buat, India pun kena buat kan, sebenarnya ujian, quiz, nak pandang exam. So untuk elakkan diri itu is not the solusi lah.
You must always step
out, take the risk. It's okay, I buat assignment tu, tak dapat 100 marks tak apa. Dapat 80, I akan tanya pensyarah macam nak tambah baik. Lain kali I tambah baik lah, dapat 90 marks tak apa. Kan? And you can always step back and ready to come back stronger. When you step back, it doesn't mean that you give up. You step back means you are still in the on mode. You nak proses semula, nak muhasabah semula, muhasabah diri dan still baik lagi. So that is about being focused. And another thing about focus that my dear students, I really like you to keep in mind is that you probably have heard this before too. Where you focus, the energy will flow. Apa yang you fokus tu, itu akan menjadi besar, itu akan menjadi penting, itu akan menjadi sangat-sangat luar biasa untuk diri you. So based on this, let's go to the next slide. There are two things about focusing I want to share with you. You know this guy? This is Mozart. So Mozart is remained one of the most amazing classical music genius. He wrote music when he was 3. By the time he was 5, he was already playing in front of the palaces and all. Okay. So what is so amazing about Mozart? When he was 5 years old, bila Mozart berumur 5 tahun tu, memang kat rumah tu memang ayah dia ajar dia main piano lah.
Ada seorang datang ziarah kat rumah dia,
kakak dia sekali.
dia berumur 5 tahun.
Jadi ada seorang
pakcik
datang
lah kira.
ziarah
So,
kat rumah dia
pakcik pun tengok,
masa dia berumur 5 tahun.
So
So ni pakcik lah kira. So pakcik ni pun tengok Mozart tengah main piano kan. So dia tengok atas piano tu ada Mozart punya music sheet. Sheet music yang ada tulisan tu music. So Mozart yang tulis hebat umur 5 tahun pandai. Tapi sangat kemas, bersih dan kemas. Boleh ingatnya waktu itu in the 1700s tak ada pen dakwat lagi. Stylus lagi tak ada lah. Okay. Pen ialah apa? Pen ialah a feather, bulu pelepah yang hujungnya tajam kan, celup dalam dakwat untuk menulis. So itu you bayangkan akan meniti sini sana dan tak hati-hati memang terpatah dan sebagainya dan rosak, kotor kertasnya. Dan dulu kertas pun sangat kasar permukaannya.
Okay.
Okay.
And And
Wazif, the one who lost his hearing and continued composing was Beethoven,
Okay,
not Mozart.
tell you
Okay,
another story about Beethoven
sorry about
after this,
Beethoven after this.
So
So
Mozart
Mozart wasn't
right?
there.
Mozart was a
Right?
child
Mozart
prodigy
was a child
sebenarnya.
prodigy
So when the
sebenarnya.
pakcik tu
So
tengok dia punya
when the
musician
pakcik
bersihnya,
tu
dia kagum,
tengok dia
dia
punya
pun cakap
musician
Mozart
bersihnya,
pandainya
dia
you.
kagum. Dia
Budak
pun
ni
cakap
memang
Mozart
sangat pandai
pandainya
lah,
you. Budak ni
tulis
sangat
bersih,
pandai lah.
menulis bersih lah. You know what Mozart
Tulis
say?
bersih,
Umur 5
pandai
tahun kan, dia
menulis
innocent kan?
bersih
Dia
lah.
kata tak pakcik
You
tak.
know what
Bukan,
Mozart
sebenarnya
say?
saya dah
Umur 5
mainkan
tahun
muzik ni
kan, dia
berminggu
innocent
dah
kan.
dalam otak I.
Dia
Saya dah
kata,
betulkan
tak
dah
pakcik,
sebenarnya perlu
tak.
betulkan dalam
Bukan,
muzik ni.
sebenarnya
Barulah saya
saya dah
tuliskan. Sebab
mainkan
orang buat
muzik
muzik mana
ni
buat karangan kan.
berminggu
Kalau dia dah mainkan lah dalam otak dia, bila dah
dalam
sempurna baru dia
otak
tuliskan
I.
dalam kertas tu. Dan bila dia turunkan muzik-muzik tu dalam kertas tu adalah yang sempurna. Yang tiada
Oh, dia
lagi
dah
pembetulan. Zaman tu tiada liquid paper, tak ada Tipex ya. So kalau salah memang write again lah. So you bayangkan. Apa yang Mozart buat ialah dia fokus. Meskipun dia genius kan, dia tetap perlu berlatih berminggu-minggu dengan muzik baharu yang dia nak terbitkan tu. Di mana? Sebab dia genius kan, dia tak payah tulis-tulis laka-laka, dia mainkan dalam otak dia. Dia tetap kena fokus. Fokus dan berusaha. Itu ialah genius for you and me ya. Okay. My screen is not sharing again. Let me do it again. Just a minute guys. The laptop says I lost connection. That's why you're not seeing my screen. Just a minute. Okay. Hope it's doing it. Right. Okay.
Okay,
Hopefully
hopefully
sekali
kali ni tiada hal lagi dah.
It's a
It's the third attempt.
Sabar ya.
Sabar ya.
Mata
Semua dah kuyu-kuyu.
Sikit lagi,
Sikit lagi, okay?
I
I promise you the story will be fun. Okay, it's going to do this. Oh goodness.
The button doesn't bring
Us to that start that we want. The button
starts
starts from the beginning. Slideshow. So we learn another thing today.
Okay,
Okay,
getting there.
getting there.
Okay.
Okay.
So
I was telling you about this Mozart. So itu adalah cerita tentang nak fokus. Tentang fokus ni juga, I nak kongsikan satu lagi cerita. Ialah tentang
the cakes.
the cakes.
One
One cake minus one slice
dengan
one slice of cake.
So
So there was this time,
the two
the
boys,
two boys
they
were given this. One boy was given a whole cake,
seluruh
seluruh biji cake, tapi kurang seslice. Seorang pula lagi dapat seslice saja.
And what
And what happened was that
the
the one who received the bigger portion
menangis-nangis
sebab dia kata cake dia tak sempurna.
Budak yang
Budak yang
dapat
dapat seketul tu gembira aje.
Sangat-sangat
gembira, makan dia gembira.
What does this
What does this story
tell
tell us?
You pernah
dengar cerita yang kata, okay, there's a half glass of water, gelas yang isi separuh air. You nampak separuh penuh ke, separuh kosong ke, tak nampak apa-apa.
So it's
So
the
it's the same analogy here.
This
little boy here, has a whole cake, kurang satu slice saja. Besar dah, sangat besar dah tu. Tapi masih menangis-nangis meraung-raung. Sebab dia fokus pada apa? Dia fokus pada lompong ni. Yang tak ada ni dia fokus. Dia bukan fokus pada yang ada ni. Ada chips-chips kat atas semua ni dia tak nampak. Dia nampak yang satu lompong ni. That's why nangis tak boleh tahan, hysterical. Budak ni macam mana pula?
Dia ada seketul je. Itu
aje lah dia fokuskan. Itu aje lah dia makan.
This is
teaching us what? Gratitude.
Ingat tak
Magister, awal tadi kita mula berkongsi tadi kita cakap kita bersyukur. Kita bersyukur kita diberi peluang ni, diberi rezeki ni untuk masuk universiti. Untuk teruskan perjuangan kita, teruskan cita-cita, aspirasi kita dan keluarga kita. Untuk graduan, untuk menjadi seorang mahasiswa mahasiswi dan graduan menjadi seorang profesional engineering teknologi yang
dapat
dapat menyumbang kepada negara.
And you see?
And you see? So it's gratitude.
So
So
what we focus on?
You're focusing, are we this spoiled brat punya baby yang fokus pada lompong kek tu sedangkan ada seluruh biji tak bersyukur, semua dah ada tak bersyukur. Ataupun baby ni yang ada seketul je kecil pula tu, tak adalah secantik ni, nampak tak sebanyak icing, tak setebal, tak se-creamy, okay, happy je kan. Food for thought lah.
Alright.
And this is the last bit lah. The last thing is, are you ready?
You're going to
start your journey on this Sunday. You're going to start your classes in the new city. First step, first day dah.
Are you ready?
In order to be ready kan, ada dua benda je. You got to be in control, you got to have the right perspective. What is control? It's about stability, kawalan. Control within or operational control. It's like playing video games lah. Saya rasa rancangan anak muda senang cakap video game kot. How you engage and handle the situation. That's how prepared you are and also your attitude in playing the game. Because when you play a game, a video game, or you play a physical game, whether it's tennis, whether it's carom, or whether it is sepak takraw, or whether it's lawn bowling, any games that we play, there are rules. Am I right? There is a gelanggang and there are rules. So you got to play by the rules. So you can't change the rules. You can't change the gelanggang. Main tenis tak boleh tiba-tiba nak guna shuttlecock untuk main tenis kan? Tak logik kan? Contohnya main badminton nak guna bola pingpong tak boleh lah. You see ya? So benda-benda tu adalah fix. So kalau benda-benda tu yang fix tu tak boleh ubah, apa yang kita boleh ubah? Diri kita. Perspektif kita. Perspektif is what? Our ability to look ahead and where you're going and why. So what are we talking about here? Saya rasakan analogi yang paling mudah ialah really go into video game lah. So I nak kongsi dengan you ni. I think everybody knows this kan. Super Mario was launched in the 80s. Recently relaunched by Nintendo again, very 3D or 4D or 5D, I'm not sure. So Mario, kalau dia kat padang, dia kena lawan dengan monster yang bulat macam ni, dia kena lompat-lompat. Kalau dalam volcanic punya gua, jumpa monster yang berapi macam ni, dia kena learn how to padamkan api. I don't play the game, so I don't know, but I presume. When it's in the ocean, there is this monster eel, daripada bacaan saya, and if it's outer space in situation, Mario have to fight some kind of alien punya monster. So dalam cakap ialah, can Mario control where he is in? He cannot kan? You play the game level ke level. Kalau ini level ialah padang, you main lah macam kat padang kat luar. Kalau level ni kat laut, you kena swim. You kena suddenly say, I want to jump. So you can't. If you play the game, you got to follow the situation. You got to adapt yourself. So in other words kan, you really got to be prepared and really got to be in control. You tak boleh biarkan keadaan kat luar tu bersalji ke, berhujan, berapi ke mengganggu you. The more you can control yourself and don't let your amygdala ke belakang tu asyik take over, asyik nak reaksi macam tu, gusar lah, marah lah, melenting lah, panik lah sebagainya, tapi biar depan tu, frontal lobe tu untuk fikir, proseskan, just look at the situation, okay fine, this situation, what can I do now? Okay, ada 3 assignment kena hantar minggu ni, tak apa. Yang paling dahsyat ni, paling banyak ni, minta negosiasi. Berunding balik dengan pensyarah, lambat sikit, tunjukkan bukti ada kerja lain yang pun kena siap. Contohnya, You see? The pensyarah will be most happy to listen to your negotiation. Trust me. Bukannya besok nak hantar, hari ni baru nak cakap. Memang tak ada siapa nak dengar kan. Itu bukan negosiasi. Negosiasi means 3 days before, tengok memang tak akan sempat pergi berbincang dengan pensyarah. Minta lanjutan masa. Satu contoh. Alright? So, four more steps, four more tips for you to take away. How to gain control and perspective so be ready to start your classes, ready to begin your life as a Mahasiswa, the FKK Association. Number 1, see the big and small picture. When you plan with the outcome and also the process goals. Semester ini I rancang 14 minggu. Apa ni I nak capai? I nak 4 flat. Okay, habis cerita. So sepanjang jalan tu, tak ada. I plan hujung nanti I nak 4 flat. Habis 14 minggu, tiap minggu tak ada plannya, tak ada pencapaiannya. This is what we mean by the small picture. Selalunya kan kita terlupa tentang small picture ni. So kita kata 14 minggu, satu semester hujung nanti I akan score 4 flat. Habis in between tu, apa yang I kena buat, apa yang I kena capai untuk dapat 4 flat tu? Quiz kena markah tinggi, assignment kena bagus, test kena markah bagus, projek kena buat dari awal, step by step supaya banyak masa untuk selesaikan terbaik yang mungkin in 14 weeks. Benda macam ni. So this is what we mean by the big and the small goal. So this is, if you want, you can refer to the power plan punya video in the YouTube if you want. And number 2, be the realist and the dreamer. Sometimes people say jangan mimpi-mimpi, be realist saja, put your 2 feet on the ground. Sometimes it's not so like that. What do I mean by that? You must know the limitations, they must be manageable and within your stretching punya reach. You nak stretch untuk jangkau boleh sampai punya, so there are limitations. And you turn your fear into fire. Pinjam itu Nike punya tagline, just do it. I think boleh ke kita buat projek ni lecturer kata kena ada inovasi. So kalau kita buat inovasi ni akan kena lebih banyak masa ni, kena cuba daya ni. Tapi kalau kita tak buat, tak ada markah inovasi, what will you do? We just do it aja lah. As we go along, we are going to stumble, we are going to slip a bit, tapi we will learn and we go along. Nampak? Number 3. Let your passion fire the motivation. Make your own goals. Do the things that excite you and make you happy. You are already in the program. I'm very sure you like the program. You like electrical, mechanical, or chemistry, or whatever that you're registered in. That's why you are here. So continue your journey. This is going to be fun. Remember, learning is fun. Learning is fun punya. Of course, nobody likes a test, nobody likes final exam, nobody likes assessment. But that's part and parcel of learning. Part and parcel. You bayangkan, kalau tak ada ujian, tak ada periksa, macam mana tahu you lulus ke tak lulus? Macam mana tahu kita ialah grade A punya student, grade B punya student? Nampak tak? Sebab itu adalah penting dan perlu. And last but not least, be prepared for roadblocks. Kadang-kadang kita rancang gini gitu, bila ada roadblock sikit, ada setback sikit, terus kita give up. Unpredictable and unexpected events is no surprise kan? Adakah kita expect lancar je? You bawa kereta ke highway pun boleh ada bump. Am I right? You bawa kereta ke highway pun nak cepat pun, nak sampai Melaka, sini sampai Pago sampai ke Melaka, tol Pago, tol Aikro, 45 minit sampai. Siapa sangka Bukit Gambir tu ada jam for 1 hour. Siapa tahu? Kan? Jadi it's not surprise. It's not really a surprise that you're going to have some detours, kena patah balik dan sebagainya. Tapi in the end yang penting sampai. Keep your eyes on the goal. Yang penting sampai. Jangan senang-senang kita nak give up. That's why I told you, my dear student, ingat saat ini, detik ini. Saat ini dan detik ini, your first days in the university. Apa aspirasi tu? Apa perasaan tu? Apa cita-cita itu? Apakah impiannya? Ingat balik. So along the way, you are sure to come across roadblocks and detours. Adakah kita akan patah balik, ataupun give up, ataupun kita is okay, steady aja. We just keep going aja. Kena ingat tu. Right. I started with an Einstein quote. I'm going to end with an Einstein quote as well. Einstein said this: we cannot solve our problems with the same thinking we used when we created them. In this context, my dear students, I just wanted to remind you and remind myself sebenarnya, when we start a new journey in our lives, as in your case, you are starting your university life, if whatever that you've done in your poly days that were good, you can continue with that mindset. But if whatever that has caused you some pain, some setbacks, some not very happy moments during your poly days, this is the time to start thinking again and start changing the way you think. So that when you have your journey here in UTHM, it will be a more fun, more relaxing, more fruitful punya journey. Understand? This is what we mean by to start developing your engineering technologies mindset. Start thinking like you are already a professional engineering technologist. Do not continue thinking like you are a poly student. No. You are mahasiswa-mahasiswi ke arah graduan, ke arah menjadi seorang profesional dah. So tak mau lagi fikir macam budak poly macam tu, tak mau. Itu tinggalkan di belakang. Kadang-kadang pandang ke belakang untuk nostalgia tu tak apalah. Jangan bawa ke depan, menjadi tu beban tu lah. Jangan macam tu. Alright? And this is the one I told you about. Last semester, Shuko, I had the opportunity to create a series of 13 videos. I put it on YouTube. You can go on this the link, or you can snap on this QR code to the channel. So they were actually prepared for the students to go for the final exam. I created like 1 or 2 in a week and things like that. And based on the feedback from the students from the talk, they find that they as PKP kan belajar kat rumah can be very very stressful, rasa sangat keseorangan sebagainya. So this is a series of thinking tools to guide them. The one I told you about, the power plan, is one of these. So if you like, you can explore this. Okay, it was specially made for the FPK students pada masa itu. Alright. So I just wanted you to know, before we wrap up, that your reviewed potential, things that you think you know, is actually 10% aja. Like an iceberg. Whatever that you don't know that you have in there is 90%. 90% your latent potential that is inside of you belum lagi terkeluarkan. So are you happy with just having this 10%? Or shouldn't you be trying to unleash and release the remaining 90% inside you so that you can be the best version of you, the best and best of you? Renungkan ya. So with that, thank you very much for your attention, dan selamat maju jaya. Okay, so I'm going to stop my screen sharing so that we can go back to some questions if you want. Alright. Ada apa-apa nak tanya? Ada semua dah tertidur? Ada any questions that you may want to ask? Ada? Atau tengah pandang-pandang itu goreng pisang kat luar tu? Anything you like to ask? If I can answer, saya cuba.
Anything on the chat
Anything on the chat box?
Ada apa?
Ada apa? Boleh tanya. Come on, in the university dah. Okay. Is it okay to keep ourselves occupied with activities? What kind of activities? Contoh? What kind of activities?
Come on,
mahasiswa-mahasiswi bersuara lah.
Dia type kat sini
Dia type kat sini ialah. Is it okay to keep ourselves occupied with activities? Yeah. What kind of activities do you mean?
Kan buka speaker cakap sikit.
Kan buka speaker cakap sikit.
Siapa yang tanya ni?
Siapa yang tanya ni?
Sports going to places?
Going to places? Of course. At the moment jangan pergi places sangat. Kena saman 10,000.
At
the moment boleh lah sukan yang tak bersentuhan dan sebagainya kan. So of course, one of the things that sometimes we can mistaken is that when we go to university, we are so busy studying, we shouldn't be involved in any extracurricular activities. Koko semua jangan ganggu I. No, that's not right. BBC kan, if we are so good in our studies, but we don't do any socializing, we don't do sports, we don't have any other activities apart from sticking to our buku, ulang kaji aja, buat homework aja, then kita tak begitu berjaya lah sebagai seorang pelajar sebenarnya. Sebab kita punya masa memang 24/7 buat tu aja. Sedangkan sebagai seorang pelajar yang menyeluruh kan, orang kata it's a comprehensive student life, it's a holistic punya development of yourself, you should be good in your Koku as well. You should be active in sports as well. Tak payah wakil negara atau wakil universiti, tak payah. Main aja, main petang-petang macam tu kan. So it's good. Remember tu is even effect when you're studying and all. Break, in between the break tu, pergi buat sesuatu yang luar biasa. Luar daripada apa yang tengah buat tu. Main game ke, it could be a game, it could be watching a movie 15 minutes, bukan 1 jam setengah ya. Okay, belajar half an hour, cakap tengok movie 1.5 hours, itu baik tak usah belajar lah. Macam tu. So do something that is different, and that can be something you like. For example, if I like to paint, I like to draw, then maybe when I break from my study, I will draw. That's totally different kan from studying. So that is good. Or you play the piano, you play the violin, or you sing. Those are good. Okay? Right. The next question: how do we handle anxiety? I think first and foremost, we want to stop anxiety from coming first. Betul tak? Elakkan dulu. Elakkan dia datang dulu. So tengok balik tadi slides tu. I recorded this. Nanti I akan sharekan the YouTube link to the secretary. Nanti to share with you. Kokok nak tengok semula. I hope it's helpful. With number one, avoid the anxiety to come looking for us. So tadi kita sebutkan, uruskan our staff. Uruskan the way we think, uruskan the way we react to the stimulus, to the things that are happening around us. We cannot change them. Just like playing a Mario game, just like you playing Minecraft. Ialah sampai satu tempat memang ialah ada balak aja. You kena bikin punya balak aja lah. Takkan nak minta besi pula macam tu lah. Similarly, so life is the same. Whatever that's out there for you is there. We cannot change it, but we can change how we think, how we see it. And the moment we change how we see it, then it changes how we feel about it. And it changes how we feel about it, then everything is doable. Dia macam tu, kita kena faham. So the anxiety wouldn't come. Tenang je. Tapi andai kata the third anxiety macam mana? Ada third anxiety, rule number 1. Berhenti buat apa you tengah buat tu. Rule number 1, jangan terus menerus lagi. Kalau tengah buat assignment, tengah stress, tengah anxiety, berhenti buat tu. Stop it. Dan yang kedua, tarik nafas dalam-dalam. So kalau you tengah anxious, you lupa bernafas sebenarnya. You bernafas sangat cetek punya. Bila nafas sangat cetek, tak cukup oksigen ke otak, lagi anxiety. So number 1, stop doing what you're doing. Number 2, tarik nafas panjang-panjang. Berapa kali? Sampai you tenang. Tarik, lepas sampai you tenang. Alright? Bila dah tenang, baru fikirkan. Jangan fikir aja, Zeigarnik effect. Tuliskan. Fikir dan tuliskan apa benda yang buat you sangat risau sekarang. Apa benda yang buat you panik sekarang. Tuliskan. Once it's already on the paper, barulah you renung. Okay? Do not that anxious, tengah stress, continue buat lagi. That is how we break ourselves sebenarnya. Seakan-akan tengah lari dah 1 jam lari, kaki pun nak patah, tak nak berhenti lari, kebas masih lari, kejang masih lari, what will happen? Bukan rebah kena tengah jalan, panggil Grab. Mesti menyusahkan orang pula. Contohnya lah. Kalau tak ada Grab, tak ada phone, panggil ambulance. Orang kena minta orang tepi, lagi menyusahkan orang. Things like that lah. Okay? So avoid coming to the anxiety and stressful part before it comes to you. If dah terjadi, awal-awal cantaskan dia. Andai kata dah terjebak, then we have to seek help dah. Alright? Next, how can we change our mindset? Sometimes I think I change my mindset, become better. A few weeks time, nothing has changed, and then I go back to the original situation. How often we do that lah? Hari ni dengar talk ni bagus, I dah berubah. Serta-merta ubah. Besok, macam tak berapa buat. Lusa dah lupa dah. Hari ketiga tu, apa I ada nak ubah ke? Tak ada lah. How often we do that kan? It's not just you, I'm talking about myself too. Kita manusia, kita lemah je. Kita senang. Kita huyang-hayang macam tu, senang kita goyah. Kita punya perkataan yang lebih mendalam, kita punya iman kita sangat senang tercabar punya. Daripada diri kita dan juga daripada bisikan yang si penipu tu. So jangan selalu nak salahkan si penipu tu, sebab dalam diri kita pun ada sifat-sifat yang tak berapa elok. Am I right? Bukan I yang cakap, ustaz yang bagi tahu. So jangan kita suka sangat nak salahkan dia dan entah siapalah. Kita sendiri tanya diri kita dulu. Okay. So having said that kan, why is it that changes don't last kan? Berapa kerap kita dengar, hari ni I dengar talk, hari ni I bagus. 3 hari kemudian ada lupa dah ada talk tu. The main reason sebenarnya lah apa tahu? Kita tak tahu kenapa kita nak berubah. Sebab apa kita nak ubah, kita pun tak tahu. So kita belum tentukan sebab apa nak ubah, dah terus I nak ubah. I nak daripada setiap hari tengok 8 jam Netflix, I nak kurangkan jadi 2 jam. Cuba fikir, dah 8 jam for 3 bulan tiap hari, tiba-tiba nak 2 jam, tiada mungkin kan? Ketagihan pun kena slow di kan, jangan zalim. So okay lah, dah 3 bulan tiap hari 8 jam, okay lah, kurangkan besok 6 jam lah. 3 hari 6 jam, kemudian hari keempat I kena 4 jam ya. Gradually. Can you see? So this is what? Planning. Macam contoh yang tak berapa cerdik, apalah cakap Netflix, kurangkan masa tengok Netflix tu. It's just a simple example. Just as in everything that we plan to do, kalau kita mendadak daripada buat sampai tak buat menjadi buat, sudah pasti kita give up punya. So terlalu mendadak, we cannot get used to it. Sama juga I kata, sekarang pergi berlari kat luar 5 km, sedangkan you tak pernah berlari sejak kat Serongan Rendah. Boleh ke you lari? Jangan kata 1 km, 5 km. 100 meter pun dah cungak-cungak. 200 meter, you dah kejam. Nak lari macam mana lagi? So menjadi painful. When the process becomes painful, you akan mula benci benda tu. When we don't like something, can we do it? We cannot kan? You can only continuously do something, consistently do something if you enjoy it. Saya ulang. Kita hanya boleh terus-menerus buat sesuatu andai kata perkara tersebut atau aktiviti tersebut membuatkan kita rasa gembira dan riang. Kalau dibuatkan kita rasa sakit, seksa, tak happy, tiada mungkin kita akan terus buat benda tu dengan baiknya. Sama dengan belajar juga. Sama juga dengan macam belajar. I think that summarizes in a very short way soalan the wazif. How can we have lasting change, and why is it that our changes is always very short term punya? Right? Next, my opinion on games, some say it's bad, it's good. When I play, I research about it, I get better, increase my skill. Afiq, I agree with you. These days, computer games are very good. Didn't I show you Mario tadi? Yang terkini? Kalau bukan sebab I memang tak mahir game ni, I pun tak ingin nak beli itu Nintendo Switch dan main itu Mario. Ingat balik masa zaman kecil ada main Mario tu, masa kecil je macam tu, Nintendo macam tu dulu, tengok TV ni pun 2D aja. Sekarang pun tak berapa nampak, tak kecil sangat. Sekarang punya 3D, lompat sini lompat sana kan. So yeah, I agree with you. Computer games is very mind stimulating punya. Cantik, gambar dia cantik dan banyak kena fikir. Am I right? Contohnya game like Minecraft and all, you kena fikir, merancang meskipun dia macam hack sini, hack sana, bikin kubu kat sini, tembak ikan kat sana. But actually it is very mind-boggling and mind stimulating punya. Cuma kita kena fikir which part of our brain yang dia lebih banyak stimulasi. Agaknya lebih banyak amigdala kita kan. That's why they make it so colourful. That's why they make it so beautiful. That's why they make it with very nice sound effects. They make it with very nice background music. Macam Minecraft tu lah. Sebab I tengok anak buah I main kan. It can be, I yang tak main, I buat kerja lain kat bilik lain, dengar je music tu pun, I boleh rasa macam kena mamai. Macam very, soothing, the music very soothing, and make you, terlupa is there. But it's just playing there. So that's what I'm trying to say. When they design these games, these game companies, they spend a lot of money. Trust me, they spend a lot of money researching into it. Bukan saja graphics, sound, everything. Supaya the gamers when they play it, they really can feel immersed in it punya. You tak payah virtual reality lagi, tak boleh immerse punya.
So it's not a bad thing bagi
And it's true, macam Abi cakap, I had to research into it. I know you go into YouTube and watch people telling you how to play, to move to the next level. Tembak manakah, tarik itu monster punya ekor kat mana ke apa, things. I think it's a whole different, a whole world by itself, which is very interesting, and people research into it. It's almost like a bidang kajian by itself. So it's not a bad thing. Remember, in life, nothing is good or bad. It's how we make of it. Even merokok, kontroversi kan, kata merokok tu, ada kata bagus tak bagus. Of course terang-terangan sebab merosakkan badan kita, dia patut salah lah, tidak patut buat. But you cakap dengan orang merokok, dia cakap apa? Wish, sangat merelaxkan I, betul lah. Kalau I tak rokok lepas makan, I ada perut senak, tak boleh. You know, so orang yang tak merokok, apalah kotor, rosakkan paru-paru dan sebagainya. So you see, the thing is good or bad is very debatable punya. Itu pulang pada orang yang memandang. Persepsi dia. Of course, I'm picking you a given example yang sangat provokatif untuk merokok. So I hope boys here, if you are smoking, I cabar you, drop the habit. If you smoke. If you are smoking, PKP ni boring-boring, tak smoking pun jadi smoking. If you are vaping, stop vaping. If you are smoking, stop smoking. I cabar you. Ramadan is coming. Today is first of Rajab. So I cabar you.
You have 2 months to
quit the habit. Come first shower. Anda kata you merokok punya, come and tell me you tak merokok. I give you a present. Jangan kata tak boleh. I had students who come to me buat projek FYP. FYP macam projek sarjana muda lah. I tak boleh tahan buku log dia bau rokok. I cakap dengan dia, kalau buku log you bau rokok, I tak boleh nak semak. So you buat sesuatu lah. Zaman tu ialah buku log tu berdang online, sekarang you ada online. You know what dah dia? Bawa balik girlfriend yang tolong letak perfume apa, dah wangikan lah. Lepas tu cakap dia, tapi you masuk bilik I kena biarkan pintu terbuka 2 jam selepas you pergi pun kena terbuka. Sebab you bawa bau rokok tu, I tak boleh tahan. And you know what happened? He quit smoking. I tanya dia, you tak ada cold turkey, cold feet ke? Tak ada. So sebenarnya boleh dia quit. I had another student, your senior in FKK, dah graduan pun, so tak payah sebut nama. He smoked. A very good boy. And like you, Afiq, he likes to play computer games, but he did a very good PSM because of his skills in playing computer games. He learned a software by himself, Fluxys, and completed his PSM using this software. Okay, hebat tak hebat? Jadi, he smokes. So I told him, don't smoke. Okay, promise me you don't smoke. In 3 months' time, he quit smoking. He came back very happily. Doctor, I don't smoke anymore. Sekarang I vape. I was like, my goodness. Vaping is more dangerous than smoking. So I had to show him scientific proof. Okay, baca ni. Tak boleh. Tak boleh nak apa nama tu, vaping. Lagi teruk daripada rokok. Oh, ya ke, doktor? Okay. He quit today. Today he's well and good working out there dah. Alright? Awam, obviously. Tak smoke dah. Boleh je. You see? Betapa hebatnya manusia punya willpower. Tuhan bagi ni, kita yang tak manfaatkan sebenarnya. Kita yang ambil remeh, ikut perasaan kononnya. Ikut perasaan pun ikut sini juga sebenarnya. Right. I'm sorry, setiap soalan ajak pilih aja. If you think it's not enough, you can always PM me, tapi nanti we can talk longer lah sebab nak cuba tepati masa. There's a question here, is it okay sometimes not to be an optimistic person? Zaima, I presume yang you maksudkan ialah kadang-kadang adakah terlalu optimistic tu macam tak fikirkan pula benda-benda yang mungkin risiko yang mungkin ada. I take it as you soalan masuk macam tu. Did I get it right? If it's not optimistic, well, optimistic and pessimistic is a very umum punya adjective sebenarnya. Again, I like to think about it as it is about how we see things, our perception. Remember I told you, you pick up a coin, don't have a coin with me. Anything that is circular, like this circular keychain, on one side is Mickey Mouse, on the other side is the background is black. If I try to look at it on two sides, I can see one maybe 90% on one side, but I can only see 10% on the other side. I can never be able to see 2 sides at the same time. Kenny, do you notice? Itu baru benda 2 dimensi tau.
Hidup kita ni sangat
Kompleks punya.
Dia
Dia all 3 dimensi ataupun 5 dimensi atau berapa dimensi tak pastilah.
So dia
So dia tanya diri kita macam mana tu? Macam mana tu? We don't have that kind of ability to see so much, to perceive so much. Panca indera ni yang sehebat-hebatnya pun setakat tu aja. Setakat tu aja. Sebab itu kita diajar, tak kira kita punya agama apa pun, tak kira. Bahawa ada kuasa yang lebih besar, kuasa yang lebih besar yang akan menjaga kita, menjaga seluruh alam semesta yang kita panggil Tuhan. Yang kita panggil Tuhan. So saya serulah, biasanya saya seru anak-anak di sini kan untuk sentiasa kembali kepada Tuhan. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter whatever religion you are. It can be Muslim, can be Christian, can be Buddhist, can be whatever that is. Right? You must believe that there is a God because there's only one God sebenarnya. We just call it a different name. Right? And it's important. It's important that you pegang pada tu. Sebab you akan dapati bahawa I told you, the life is not 2-dimensional, 3-dimensional, is many dimensions that we don't know. They can come from everywhere. Ujian ni datang dari mana arah aja. Kita tak mungkin boleh hadapi dan tampani kalau kita tidak minta bantuan daripada dia.
Macam itulah ceritanya.
Tetapi, having said that, kita sebagai manusia, kita ada tanggungjawab kita. Tanggungjawab kita. So, tanggungjawab kita ialah macam yang Zaiman kata tu.
Dalam kita optimistik,
dalam kita nak tengok segala yang baik, sangka baik, nak tengok baik-baik, kita juga kena ada
berwaspada.
Berwaspada maksud apa? Dalam kita membuat pertimbangan terhadap sesuatu permasalahan atau sesuatu perkara, jangan sebab kita nak sangat benda tu, kita pun cakap segala yang bagus saja. Kita kena perlu juga consider the kemungkinan dia tak bagus untuk kita. Sebab kita tahu tiada benda yang sempurna kat dunia ni. Am I right? Ini dunia. Ini lapangan ujian. Ini bukan apa syurga. Right, this is not heaven. Of course, everything is imperfect. So do not fool ourselves, do not cheat ourselves, lie to ourselves. Oh, ini perfect. I nak buat ni. Sedangkan we know it's no good for us. Jadi, elok ada optimistiknya dalam fikir positifnya, timbang juga yang negatifnya. Dan jangan, tak mau kita sentiasa tengok habis-habisan gelap je. Tak mau. Don't do that. Even in the darkest of hours, bila kita rasa diuji teruk sangatlah saya ditimpa ni, dahsyat sangatlah. Rasa nak give up. Ingat. Macam mana Sarat punya awan hitam bawa hujan, bawa ribut tu, tetap ada line siwa sekeliling dia. Macam mana gelap sekepul awan tu, you tetap akan nampak line-line putih kat situ. Am I right? The next time it wants to rain, thunderstorm, you cuba tengok ke langit. Tuhan kata, elok, bagus kita selalu tengok ke Tuhan. Ustaz cakap, elok, bagus kita selalu tengok ke langit tu. Ada sebab kita suka mendongak tengok langit. Ada sebabnya, tak kira daytime, night time, tengah hari, tak kira di tempat musim salji ke, tak musim salji ke, kita suka je. Somehow rather, tengok kat langit buat kita rasa lapang dan tenang. Somehow. Ada kemungkinan sebab asalnya kita dari situ kot. Sebab itu kita ada rasa homesick lah, mungkin lah. Tak pasti lah. Lepas tu kita ada tendensi suka pandang ke langit. Bahasa Arab langit is what? Sama kan. Jadi cubalah dongak sesekali tengok ke awan-awan tu, especially bila nak hujan tu. Cuba you tengok awan yang hitam tu. Macam mana hitam legam pun, you tetap akan nampak line-line putih tu. In English we call the silver lining. Alright?
Always find the silver lining
in the clouds. There's always a silver lining punya. Itulah yang kita kena harapan. There's always hope. Hope-nya berhenti bila? Hope-nya never berhenti. Some say berhenti bila kita mati. No. When you die, the body dies, the soul is still there. Your perjuangan belum tamat lagi kan. It is not finished yet. So that is beyond us lah. Kalau dah mati, itu lain cerita dah lah. What I'm trying to say here is that while we are still here in dunia, I am repeating myself, this is a lapangan ujian. Dalam kata lapangan ujian. So sudah pasti di gelanggang ni penuh dengan ujian punya. Big or small or mini, size M, size L, size XXL, macam tu lah. So kerja kita apa? Kerja kita ialah how to face them successfully. Boleh? You are going to start your journey here in the university as a mahasiswa-mahasiswi. I guarantee you, there will be all these detours, bumps, roadblocks. There will be this thunderstorm. There will be kemarau. There will be a lot of rainbows as well. There will be a lot of rainbows as well. As there's a thunderstorm, always look forward to the end of it because there will be a rainbow. And we always rainbow symbolizes hope. And similarly,
When we say we are upset, we cry kan. So boys cannot cry. No, boys can cry. Everybody can cry. Sometimes cry tu tak semestinya titiskan air mata zahir ya. Nangis di hati tu pun menangis juga. Dan setiap air mata yang dititiskan tu tak kira secara fizikal betul-betul titiskan jatuh kat pipi ataupun jatuhkan dalam hati you. Every single drop of your tears, because you are in pain, because you feel sad, because you feel frustrated, because you feel helpless, ingat, setiap titisan air mata you tu ibarat satu doa yang sampai ke syurga sebenarnya. Ingat tu. So when you are at the saddest, when we are at the saddest, sebenarnya kita berdoa. Sebenarnya kita berdoa. That's why we cry. That's why tears adalah satu kurniaan, satu nikmat Tuhan yang sangat-sangat luar biasa. So it's okay to cry when you feel sad. Don't coop up inside. Nangis kat dalam pun tak nak. And then become anxiety. It's okay to cry. Even for boys. You don't believe me? I show you one thing. When we cry, these are teardrops. Betul lah? Am I right? Teardrops. You turn it around. They are your prayer going to heaven. Persepsi. Can you see? Even in your tears, when we cry, of course there are tears of joy. Kita graduan kita cry pun sebab tiba terasa all the kesusahan kita lalui kan, sebab tu cry, happiness, tears of happiness pun. Every single drop of that tear is a prayer that goes to heaven. He knows. So tak mau susah hati sangat, susah hati sekejap aja. Dan ingat, dia ada. We are alright. We are all alright. Boleh? Baru second day NPM sudah sunyi sepi macam mana ni? Buka itu mic cakap sikit.
Boleh.
Very good. Okay, dah 5:30. As I said, we try to keep time. Kalau tak ada apa-apa, I rasa kita bersurai je. As I said, you have my slides and apa nama tu, you can always contact me. Please just let me know who you are. Kadang suka cakap, I'm sorry who you are. Okay, I nak cakap to you with your name lah kan. So contohnya quote lah, Farah text I nanti kan. Gini gitu cakap saya Farah, doktor gini gitu, so I know lah Farah yang text I. Tak lah tiba-tiba I cakap Fatimah, Farah pun marah lah. I Farah panggil I Fatimah contoh. Okay, boys and girls. So one more time. I can't convey my congratulations sangat tinggi kepada you. I don't know how to say. Setinggi tanya. Menjejak kaki ke Menara Gading. Yay. Menara Gading. Very happy. Okay. In the university though. I'm sure it was your impian to get into university. I'm sure. I'm very sure. I remember when I first set foot in the university. I remember the first day my parents sent me to Polytechnic. I remember. Another step in life, another way, another step forward and upwards. Betul? Cita-cita kita, aspirasi kita, impian kita. Right? So keep walking, keep your head up. Remember what I showed you just now? Remember this. You boleh bayangkan inilah titisan peluh you. Boleh bayangkan inilah titisan air mata you. Okay? And every single drop of your sweat, every single drop of your tears, they are a doa. They are a doa for your success here and beyond. Okay, boys and girls, I'll leave you to that. Sebab nanti pun ada slot lagi. Now go and beriadah sekejap. Beriadah. I didn't say go and play computer games. Dan duduk seharian dengar talk jangan ingat tak tahu. This is the time to stretch your legs. Jangan asyik duduk depan komputer. Dia rosak mata tu nanti. Okay. So that's it. Take good care of yourself. Enjoy your life in the university. I really hope I'll be able to see you soon, face to face in the university, running around as the students should be, rushing from one end to the other end for classes and all, and bukan asyik online macam ni. I pun rasa I percaya you pun teringin nak ke universiti kan, nak ke campus kan. Belajar online ni entah apa-apa lah. But remember, that is the ujian, we face it. Macam main game Mario, angkatlah kena masuk gua sekarang, main lah macam angkat dalam gua. Okay, you can do this punya. Okay. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you, Doktor.
Bye, Doktor. Terima kasih.
Terima kasih. Bye-bye.
Bye, Doktor.
Ta.